Hi friends, welcome to Rita's Paper Motif. Now before we begin today, I did want to acknowledge the wildfire alerts here in our area, and my thoughts are with everyone that's affected. I'm praying for their safety and that they're able to return to their homes soon, very soon. And so I just wanted to share that. Now I want to get set up here, so I'm so sorry. Please just give me a moment. I don't know why this happens to me. I think I'm all set up and maybe not. So let's see here. Okay, I am set up now. So yes, I just want to acknowledge all of the fire alerts that are here in our area. We have big, huge fire that is going on. It's actually 3 fires in one. And so I just think about all those that are affected, and I just really do pray for their safety and that they're able to return home soon. And I pray that there are many that will have a home to return to. So what I'm here today is that I'd like to welcome you and share with you what I call paper, ink, magic, and more. And so today I'm going to unlock the basics of ink blending. Ink blending is a technique that can turn simple cardstock into glowing backgrounds and also magical color transitions. So let me just step back a moment. If we haven't met, I'm Rita from Rita's Paper Motif, and I would be honored if the Paper Motif became your creative destination for card making, scrapbook layouts, and if it would serve as inspiration to help you grow your skills and enjoy your craft. Now, a quick reminder, you can always find up-to-date tutorials, project ideas, and also you can visit my online store at my website, thepapermotif.com. And by the way, if you enjoyed today's class, please don't forget to follow and subscribe so that you never miss a new content. And because I love to hear from you, if you don't mind, go ahead and drop a comment below. And you know what I'd really like to know is what blending tool do you reach for when you're ink blending? Now, let's go ahead and jump into today's class. So, here's what I like to think of, and that is that there are 3 essential tools necessary for successful ink blending. They're kind of a basic of the whole idea. And again, the ink blending is a technique that turns simple cardstock into glowing backgrounds or soft gradients, any magical color transition. And so what I wanted to remind you of is that smooth paper, smooth ink, and smooth tools create smooth results. Okay, so the very first thing that I wanted to consider is let's talk about your paper. Your paper is like your foundation in ink blending. If it's smooth and consistent, then your blend will be too. And then your ink is like your sorry, got him out of line. Your ink is like your color energy, and it needs to flow and layer softly. And then your tools are like your magic wands. So when we think about paper in our foundation, we need to talk about that a little bit. And that is because paper being your, I'm trying to get some paper things here to show you. Okay, here we go. So your paper is important. Sorry, I just got messed up there for a minute. So your paper needs to be smooth. And it's all about how the ink sits on the surface of your paper. So if you have a paper that is smooth, then your ink is going to sit better, right? If it's not, if it's bumpy, and I'll show you a sample of what I consider bumpy. Now, I don't even know where I got this. I don't know where I got this. I think somebody might have given it to me, or maybe they left it here when they were scrapbooking with me, but it's bumpy. And I have no idea what the name of the paper is or whatever. It's a little more, it's not quite as heavy as what I usually use for scrapbooking, but that's not the point. The point is I couldn't use this paper for ink blending because, and I know you cannot see it in the camera, but it's bumpy. It doesn't feel smooth. So when I feel this one, it's smooth. When I feel this one, it's not smooth. And it's not so bumpy and rigid that, you know, you can see crevices or anything. It's just not smooth. Okay, so we're talking here about the paper being smooth. And the cardstock that I like to use is Stampin' Up's Basic White cardstock. So this happens to be the layering, just the regular basic white, and so it's kind of a layering cardstock. We do have the thick basic white, which is also smooth, but it's heavier. It's great for card bases, but it's just a little too heavy for my, if I'm going to use this as a card front. All right, and so here's what I like about this paper, and that is that it's smooth. So my blending brushes will glide evenly on it, and then also I like it because it's acid free. So you know, once I've done my cardstock on my scrapbook pages, I don't have to worry about this turning yellow in time, and then kind of all that work that I put into it is kind of gone, right? It's also perfect for background. So, you know, I can mask this off, and I did want to show you some of that. So if I mask this off, like here's one that I did. So I'll tell you how I did it. So I ink blended this panel, a panel like this, and then I used my die cut to cut an oval, and then I just laid it over some basic white, and then I did my blending, and this is what I ended up with. So this is like what we call a silhouette card. So this is perfect for this part, which is the card front, and it's perfect for masking. So I can mask this usually with, and we'll talk about that a little later. I'm getting way ahead of myself. So when you're blending on your paper, this is your foundation. It's like your canvas. And then I wanted to move on. And here's what I wanted to talk about were inks. So the inks are your color energy, right? We talked about that. It's your color energy, and it's your, it's when you put color on paper, it's just gorgeous, right? So here's your energy, and I just want you to know that not all inks are created equal. And when a company decides what ink they want to carry, they have a formula. I can't think of any that don't, but they have a formula for what they want that ink to do. So what job would I, if I were creating inks for my company, what job would I want this ink pad to do? So that's what they have to consider. So they're not all created equal, because not all of the inks are designed with ink blending in mind. Some of them might be designed for detailed stamping, or maybe watercolor, or maybe some for the layering. But some, like ours, are balanced enough to do all three. So that's why I choose Stampin' Up! Colors. And I have other reasons too, but that is one of the big reasons I use Stampin' Up! For my ink blending. All right, now I wanted to talk to you about the tools. So tools are like our magic wands. And we know that when we want to do some magic and create, we have to have a good tool, right? So I'm going to bring out some tools that I want to talk to you about. And I'm just going to lay them out here. So excited about coming on, and I'm a little frazzled here, sorry. All right, so I just have a whole tray here with my ink tools, so that's what I was grabbing for. Okay, so I wanted to kind of just identify these tools and tell you what I use them for, and just offer them as what they are, tools. So this is a sponge dauber, and you can see that it fits right around your finger, fits quite comfortably, and I kind of have chubby fingers, so know that these fit. They're very cost effective. They have this little domed sponge that makes it perfect, and I'll show you what it's in my craft space. I'll show you why I like and what I use these for. So if I have I'm getting it out, sorry. If I have a sentiment strip and I've already stamped it, I will most often want to just put some ink around the edges. And what this does is it gives this definition, and it just gives it a little shadow to kind of define the space. And so these sponge daubers are perfect for that. Now, say I wanted to use a stencil or something, this isn't going to cover very much space like this, right? Now I have seen a couple of crafters that use these like magic. They just gotta have it down. But I use this mostly for that edging. So I'll either ink around my sentiment strip, or I'll ink around maybe my photos, like the mat on the photos. It also can almost imitate a background layer depending on how much ink. So you can see I wasn't very consistent. It's kind of hard to do when the camera is between you, but you can make it look like a layer underneath too. So that's what I use my dauber for. And again, they're very cost effective. I have one for every color family. There are some crafters that have one for every color, and they have this nice cute little box that they keep them in, and they're all labeled so they don't get messed up. Sometimes this could look like early espresso, or sometimes even the Blackberry Bliss almost mimics a brown. So yeah, so there are the sponge daubers. And they have been around for a while. They come in a package. Oh, I hope you don't quote me, but I think it's 3 or 4 in my online store. So it's easy to kind of build up and have a variety of tools, right? And so here are 2 more tools, and I want to tell you about these tools. I call them the Dome blending tool, and I go way back with these. So when I started paper crafting up in the 90s, we didn't have a lot of the beautiful stuff that we have now, right? We had some very basic things, and I started out with scrapbooking. So we wanted to add color, we wanted to add texture, and so these became available. And I don't know when in the 90s I became acquainted with them. I don't really know when they began, but they've been around for a long time. They have a nice wooden handle, and this is the top part on. They're flat on the top, and they have this Velcro right here that will hold your pads. And so even the pads have changed. These, like I said, I've had this for a long time. Now the pads are a little more domed, as I see. But you only need a pad, a foam pad, for each of your colors. So I only have two, I'm pretty sure I only have two of these. But if this was the blending tool that I grabbed for in all cases, and it was at one time my only blending tool, with all the different, with enough pads for the different colors, this would work, okay? So you can find these anywhere. We don't carry them in our online store, but I know they're at big box stores, so you can definitely pick them up. I know that the pads, for the number of pads you get, that they're not expensive, and I really don't remember how expensive these were, but I'm sure they've gone up since I bought mine. But anyway, so there are those dome tools. Here's what I love to use. And you see that I have 3 of them, right? And I use all 3. So these are my go-to tool for ink blending. And I'll tell you why. First of all, we talked about that your you want your ink to go on smoothly. So these thousands of soft brushes that are all attached here on the inside of this dome, they bend and they're soft and they hold the ink. So they just make that blending easy. And the handle is, it's great for being able to hold on to it. So if you're going to blend with this, this is probably, well, this is how I hold it. So for me, it's kind of hard to, I can't see what I can see with this. So this is easy for all that motion, and it's easy to hold on to it, and it bends. So if I want more concentration of ink, I can push this down and it doesn't hurt the handle. I can't push this down. And so I have one for every color family. I call this my boss because it's bigger. And I like that it gives me streak-free blending. It helps me with soft transitions. I feel like it gives me a more professional result. And of course, that grip right here is good for me. The one thing I will tell you that I have to monitor myself on is it's just kind of like second nature for me to put my finger here. But when I'm not paying attention, if I put pressure on this here, you know it's going to bend, right? And then I'm going to, my application of ink is not going to be as smooth. But if I can remember just to keep it back here, then it's perfect. And so then this is just a size smaller. We carry both of these in my online store. So this is great. We'll see when we use these with the stencils, we'll see how the difference, the coverage is different. So this is smaller, it's got more area that you can get your ink on to cover. And then this is great for smaller areas. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I just, whichever one I grab is what I use, because I kind of use them interchangeably. But if you're really going to have a purpose for them, this covers more area, and this is a smaller area, more details. Now, both of these, storage for some people is an issue, and so for me, I only have one brush for each color family, and that works perfectly for me. So one brush for each color family of this size, one of this size, and then one of this. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. So for me, I don't have a fancy stand where I put my brushes. And I say fancy because they really are nice, very nice. And but some people, our craft rooms are representative of how we create. So I'm kind of a little bit envious of those people that have those beautiful stands. But I quite honestly just put my brushes in a vase and just hold them upright, and they're fine. and I haven't had any problem with that type of storage. So there are these two that we do carry in our store. And then there is this one. This one, I love this one. This one gets into those really tight crannies that you need. So like, I just feel like I need to explain. So when you have a stencil that has maybe something like, this is the middle of a flower, right? This is going to be easier to get that taken care of, right? So I call this the baby. So we don't carry these in the online store, but if you stop in on my website a little later today, then I'll tell you where I got that from. And I just put the color dot on the back. So I know that I haven't used this with the green yet. So I know to use this with only the green color inks, okay? So we've talked about those. There is one more tool I want to share with you, and this is new to my craft room, really new. But I saw someone using, I've seen quite a few people using these lately, and I really do like these too. These are like, back to that stencil. Let's see here. So this is great. It's a flat head, and so the bristles do bend, but when you tap it in your ink, you can just go like this, and they kind of spread out a little bit, and they just get every nook and cranny. So when you're doing, like, maybe this is the middle of a flower where that, the middle part is, I can't remember what that's called. Or say, for example, on this stencil, these are the veins of the leaves. So if you wanted, if you did your leaf in a maybe a lighter green or whatever color you're using, then you could do a darker color to get the veins so that you would have that, right? So this is perfect for that that type of blending. Now I did want to tell you that I really can't offer any comment on storage for these. Because they're so new, I actually just have mine just kind of laying there. They do have this nice little string that I suppose you, if you had some way to house them, that string might come in handy for hanging them. So I don't know, like a pegboard, or I don't know. When I have decided how I'm going to store these, then maybe I'll share that with you. So these are my tools, and they're all something that I feel is pretty important in a craft room. The next thing that I wanted to talk about are stencils. So stencils are pretty important. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm going to take a drink here. So stencils are, we talked about the stencils. Oh no, I didn't do a little thing here, but the stencils are important because that's the kind of like the, well, the definition of stencil is to give you boundaries, right? So they're truly, truly helpful. They can bring your projects to life, and there are different effects that you can get from the stencils, and there's different types. But today I just wanted to focus on 3 different ones. So the very first stencil that I wanted to show you is a single layer stencil. And these are old, so keep in mind they're very old. They're some of the first stencils that Stampin' Up! That I got from Stampin' Up! That I purchased from Stampin' Up! So I love this stencil, and I've kept it. You can see that they're probably not as sturdy as most of the stencils today. But I like this because at Christmas time, I think of this as like a candy stripe. So with some red ink, this really will create a design on my cardstock. And then from that, I can create candy canes or like those little round peppermints. So this is perfect for that. I also used it one time. I did a like a postcard card, and I used this for the postal colors on the bottom. So definitely can come in a handy manner. And I will tell you that because they're I've had these for a long time. When I first got them, I started storing them in this envelope that is was used in a photo album. And so I just slipped them in here like this. And so that's kind of how I stored them for a long time. But I'm now storing most of my stencils in something like this. So anyway, so there's a standalone. Here's a standalone. This would be great for like a big plaid. And actually, I sometimes have used these two together, even though I don't believe, I don't know, I've had them for a long time. I don't believe they came together. But, so sometimes I take a standalone and make it a layering, right? So there's these. Again, they're very old, but you can see that you can just use them to create backgrounds. And so these are single stencils, or as we call them in Stampin' Up, masks. So here is another kind of stencil. These are layering stencils. And layering stencils, you can think of them as a set of 2 to 6. Sometimes there's more stencils, and they're designed to be used in sequence. So, so we're going to use one today when we make our card. But so here is, this could also be a single. I'm going to get some cardboard here so it's easier for you to see. But so this could be just like a single stencil, or it's designed to have layers. So you keep building it and you keep getting a different design, right? And you notice something, when I'm layering them and stacking them, I'm looking for this notch. So with the Stampin' Up stencils, for the most part, when they're layering like this, they have a little notch right here. So that means that when you, here's what I did. When you draw like a little pencil mark there, you can always get your stencil in the right area, so that your cardstock that is underneath this, so you're always going to get, you're going to be building upon one another, just not have it helter-skelter. So, and also at the very top, there's a numeral. Now, I don't think that you can see this, but this says number 1. So I know that I'm going to be using this as number 1. And sometimes I will take and just put a 1 here. I did that before because I had cataracts, and that was kind of my guide. But the problem was, is a few of them I couldn't see. When I went to mark them, I wasn't seeing very good, so I didn't mark them correctly. But if you, you know, sorry, long note there, but these notches are to help you line them up. So there's layer number 1, layer number 2, and layer number 3. And they do, if you feel it, you definitely can tell that there is a wrong side and a right side. Like this is flatter, and this has just a little bit of elevation. So you would stack these up. So we have 3 here. There's number 4, and here's a number 5. So I did do a sample of that, and I kind of wanted to talk about it. So this is a like a card front, and I used Highland Heather. So I really like this layer, and I like this layer because they start building like a trellis. And then this one. Here's the one that I maybe would not use again on here, because you can see little lines here that I'm not in favor of. But once I put some sort of shape, or you know, my sentiment and maybe whatever image I'm going to put on here, that might not even be a concern. But I also really like these dots. So if I wanted to, I could just use these two and have a design. That might be really cute. Now, I didn't do that, and I'm sorry I didn't, but here's my sample. And I really like this. So these are layering stencils. They don't really have a theme for them. They're not like Christmas stencils or something like that. They're just stencils. And you can also have stencils that maybe are designer type or they're themed. And so here are some that I marked. Remember, I told you I mismarked them. So here is layer number 1. We're going to put the notch in the same place. I am using cardboard only for the video purposes. Normally I use my glass mat, but if I put that up here, the glare is bad. So here would be number 1. I would tape it off and go ahead and blend this color, whatever color you choose. And then the number 2 are the leaves. And so when you do your, let's line it up there. When you do your basic, this is the outline of your flowers. Then when you line these up, you can see that the leaves are not going to, here are the leaves. The leaves are not going to be hitting those flowers. So that's how your stencils are designed. So the second layer is not going to compete with the first layer. They're going to lay smoothly on here. Now, then let's see, where's number 3? Remember, I messed up when I labeled. Here's number 3. So now number 3 comes in and does the detail for those flowers. And it also does not compete with the leaves. And then, you know, here's the 4th stencil. Again, we're always directed by that notch. And then here's the last one. So these are also layering stencils. They have a little bit of a theme. They have a floral theme. These actually came in a suite, and that most of our masks or stencils do come like in a suite. And today we're going to work with one that did. So we'll talk about it a little more. Now, so I wanted to share those kinds of stencils with you because we had the standalone, we had the layering with no real basic theme, and then we had the ones that have a theme. So this was with the layering stencil, and I wanted to show you another card I made with that same layering stencil with the first layer. So I just took that first layer and laid it down, and I used some crumb cake ink, and I just wanted a background. What I was kind of going for is like a trellis kind of feel. And so maybe if I did this again, I might use a gray or maybe be just a little, not so much crumb cake, because in my mind I was thinking it would be lighter. But then I just added some leaves that I've had cut out, and now I have a front for a fall card. So we're going to get into color theory now, and then we're going to make a card together. Before we do that, let me pull everything out. So here are some of the types of ink blending that we've talked about. I just kind of want to bring them all together. Also, I wanted to show you, this is one of the samples I did with those florals. Now, I want to tell you about that. I was going to fussy cut it out, and then I thought I really didn't like that color combination. I don't have any blue flowers in my garden, but I know there are some, but for some reason this didn't really it didn't motivate me, I guess, to finish cutting it out. But with the right colors, I'm thinking pink, or I'm thinking like some calypso coral, or even yellows. That would be beautiful. And I know that I really did use those stencils, and I don't feel like I ever didn't like the outcome. So I'm thinking that maybe just the color maybe didn't set with me or something. But here's that floral stencils. So I would fussy cut them. Now they came with a stamp set, but I don't think the stamp set had dies. And I can't really remember, but because it's retired. But I would fussy cut them out, and then I would put them on a card front, and that would be a whole image. And you can see how nicely you get the veins and stuff. So there's that. So that was that one I wanted to show you. And then here is just the blending, like the rainbow blending with just a background. These are the colors I used, but we'll talk about color theory in a minute. But you can see how they blend nicely together. And then I just used my oval die. And I just die cut. You know, I just put it on my die cutting machine and cut out that oval. And then I just put it over a piece of cardstock and did my blending. And then I just used any stamp that you use would work. I like the ones that are like in dark, so a tree would be cute. You know, if you were going to do Christmas, you just change the colors. And if you have a stamp of like Santa on the sleigh, that would be perfect, right? So there's that. And then here is those layering stencils. And then, of course, I used them like that. Now, I did want to tell you that we can even get more advanced. So when we start using our layering samples, our layering stencils, we could even add paste. Now, I just want to throw that in there because if you come back in September, I'm going to be doing my Christmas mini series, and we're going to be adding some paste to our stencils. So I just want to invite you back. It's kind of a fun way to add texture. Now, we have really talked about a lot of stuff here. And so I kind of did just want to summarize everything. Remember that your paper or cardstock is your foundation. Your ink is your energy. And your tools are your wand. And that smooth paper, smooth ink, and smooth tools will give you smooth results. Now, I wanted to talk about color theory because I feel like that's pretty important. So when you talk about choosing your colors, here's what you need to think about. So what colors, when you're blending, let's get that blending sample out again. When you're blending your colors, let's talk about it. If you start out with a red, and you don't have to start out with red, but say you start out with red and then orange, what if you, is it a rule that you have to go orange next? Not necessarily, but there's a rule that you want to keep in mind. And so to get to that rule, I'm going to share with you some color theory. Now, when I was learning about colors back in school, there was an acronym that the teachers used, and that was Roy G. Biv. So ROYGBIV. And so when you put that into practice here, or define it maybe, however you want to say it, here is the R for red. And then we have O for orange, right? This is in my way, so let me move it. So we have pumpkin pie, which is our orange. We have Y, which is yellow. And we have Granny Apple Green, which is our green. We have Misty Moonlight, which is our blue. And we have, let's see here, I put these, kind of tossed them in here. We have Highland Heather, which is in the place of the I for indigo. And then Gorgeous Grape for the V for violet. So we have Roy, R for Roy, O for orange, Y for yellow, G for green, B for blue, I for indigo, and V for violet. Now, in my color wheel, because I want to individualize it a little bit, I'll take out this Highland Heather, move my grape over, and add a pink, because I like that combination. So there is Roy G. Biv with our colors. So now the reason that I wanted to share this with you is not only is it part of color theory, but sometimes, you know, we get technical. Someone will say, would you want monochromatic? Do you want, let's just keep it simple. Let's keep that rainbow thought. A lot, and I have adopted this as well, a lot of our organizing, like our paper, our inks and everything, a lot of crafters will organize it with that rainbow thought in mind. And so for me, that has really been helpful, just because when I grab it, I know where to grab. The reds are like, or red families are together. So it's more helpful for me. But in color theory, this is just for me, and I think for most people, a very good and healthy way to think about your colors. So if you were trying to create, which is what I did here, trying to create like a scene, a background scene. I was actually going for a sunset, didn't quite work out, I don't think, but I like it. I like this card. It's simple, just a sentiment on here and some embellishments. It's perfect, right? So that's what I started with, is Roy G. Biv. But there's a rule. When you're blending your inks, when you're thinking about your colors, no, and we're going to do this right here. Let me just get this paper here. So when you're, cardstock. So when you're blending your colors, let's get our red blending brush. We could start with red, right? We could, moving stuff over, we could take out our red and just do some blending here. Now you know, you might mask it off so you have margins there. What I like to do is just blend, and then I'll cut it down, because this is going to be 4 by 5 and a fourth, but most of the time I only need 3 3/4 spot. Whoops, and I got ink all over me. Most of the time I need to clean that off, and this is going to get messy. Most of the time I only use 3 3/4 by 5. So I'll just take a little wipey and wipe that ink off. So I'll start here. Well, I didn't want to, I want to start there, but we'll start here because I have red here. So I'll just start off my cardstock, and then I'll just gently go in round motions. And this is harder when you can't see what you're doing. So if you have like a little splotch like this, I'm not going to worry about it because I know I'm going to cut it off. But if I had was able to see what I was doing better, that wouldn't happen, because that's because I had my brush like this, and then when I went down, I splotched it. So back and forth. Okay, so the next color in our rainbow would be orange, right? But what if I said, oh, I want to skip orange. I want to go straight to green. So let's see how that will look. So if we go to green, and we're blending it. So be looking at how those lines, when they're blending, I'm not doing a great job here, am I? Whoa. Your blend should not be this splotchy. That's because I'm not controlling it very good. So let's just kind of smooth it out if we can. And so you're going to want to be putting those colors up in here. So now look at how those, to me that's not super pretty, but you know. All right, so now let's skip the blue and go straight to purple, my favorite color. And let's see what that blend looks like. And I'm gonna try not to. Okay, so here we go with the gorgeous scrape. It might be this paper that this cardstock might be roughing up my, all right, let's just go. So now I'm going to ask you, does this feel like, is this something you like? I mean, obviously you're going to take your time, but what I'm trying to show you, and I'm doing not such a great job, is I'm trying to show you how those lines, they're not as appealing to the eye. But if we took our red, and say we didn't want to use the orange, let's go back a little. We'll take our red, which is, somehow I'm getting the ink off that. So if we take our red, we'll just flip it over. So if we take our red and just, we're going to just blend that red. And we're going to have lines, right? We have those lines, but we're going to smooth them over. Well, somebody's in a hurry. All right, and then we're going to go straight into, let's go to our yellow. We're going to skip that orange and we'll go to our yellow. And so because I usually do orange right away, this does look a little foreign to me, but I don't see any bad combination lines there. It's not like it's muddy or a color that's offensive. I'll go back with my red because I want to blend out that line. I want it to be a smooth transition. And then I'll come back with my yellow. And as I'm doing this, I'm hearing the thunder, and I'm so glad, because that is going to be quite helpful with those wildfires. We are actually not, we haven't been told we had to leave yet to evacuate, but it's pretty close. All right, so I'm going to now just do green. Granny apple green. Doesn't matter what green, we'll talk about that. So look at how those colors blend. There's nothing harsh, right? Whereas and you'll see that when the red, as we blend them together more, you'll see where the red is, that it's turning a little bit orange, isn't it? That's because when you mix red with yellow, it does turn orange. When you, and if we just skipped the green and did the blue, then we would have kind of some green going on. So I just wanted to show that to you. So that's not very attractive to me, and this is kind of my fault because I'm was kind of in a hurry and not paying attention, but I still don't like how those lines are. So this is trash material, right? But it's a good lesson. So that's the rule, is you don't skip more than one color. Now let's put our color wheel back together. So we have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and there we go. What am I missing? I got it. All right, so then you say to me, but Rita, what if I want like a more pastel palette? Well, we can do that too. Let's just change out some of those colors. So let's change the green to soft sea foam. Let's change the red to calypso coral. Let's change this blue to pool party. Is this pool party? Yes. Or coastal cabana. Let's change this grape to Highland heather. And if you don't want to use the orange, you don't have to. You can use your calypso coral, yellow, soft sea foam. There you go. Now you have like a pastel palette. So then maybe you say, well, you know, like for me right now, I'm doing fall colors because my theme, oh, here would be also another good color for pastel. So I'm doing like a fall theme. So I would probably leave my red. I would leave my pumpkin pie. But for my yellow, I would use Golden Glow. Instead of the Granny Apple Green, I would use Old Olive. And I might change this up too. I might change it to, well, I did change it into Pool Party, and I'll show you in a minute. And maybe I would somewhere put Cajun Craze in. So you can change the colors out to fit whatever palette you really want with your stencils. So I just wanted to share that. Here's, if you're doing Christmas, you could just change out the cherry cobbler, right? And then you could maybe do Night of Navy instead of Misty Moonlight. Golden Glow is a good one for Christmas too. So you could leave this Old Olive or even do Mossy Meadow. Or you know what is a beautiful green that is great for Christmas is the Peaceful Pines. And that's a brand new in color. And so that would be great too. So this is what I wanted to share with you as far as color theory. The basic thing is once you start with those colors of the rainbow, you just don't skip more than one in between. Now I have, I'll be honest with you, I have, let's see here, I'm having a hard time getting these back. I have kind of skipped a color. They were light colors. I skipped two, and that was pushing the limit. So we're back to just kind of wrapping up, and then we're going to create a card. So let's just remember that when you're considering ink blending, as in backgrounds like silhouettes or rainbow choices, the guide to choosing those colors are that when you blend them together, they need to run on well to each other. So for example, red, and then you choose the next color, which maybe would be yellow, so you leave out the orange. But they need to blend together, and they need to blend nice. So just remember that not all colors maybe play well together next to each other. So they could coordinate, meaning that if you're making a card and you use those colors in different aspects, that might be fine. But if you're going to be blending them together, and that's what we're talking about is ink blending, then you want them to look nice together. You want them to be complementary and not in that same term that we use, complementary colors. But you do want them to play well together. That's the point. Now, here's what I wanted to do with today, and I wanted to just let me kind of clean up here so I can function. So I wanted to make a card, and one of my new favorite stencil sets are the, let's see, what are they called? Painted Pumpkins Decorative Masks. Again, masks or stencils, kind of the same in my world. I always call them stencils, but anyway, so here we go. I want to make a card using this. Now, the very first thing I want to do is use this stencil right here, but this is like one of those single layer stencils, right? So I am going to get my cardstock. Let me grab a piece. I always kind of have some that are cut out, so I just need to grab them here. I don't want a card base yet, so we'll just take a simple piece of cardstock, and then I am going to tape it down. Now, usually, like I said, I'll use my glass mat. I do have a grip mat, but that was given to me as a gift, and we'll just do this because this is easiest. So I'll take this. I want to lay it down. And so I want to be careful and not get too much of that area. I am going to cut this off, but I want to be able to cover a lot of surface. So then I'm going to lay down this first stencil, and I am going to make sure, because the paper that I'm blending on, it doesn't cover the whole area here of the stencil. I want to make sure that my stencil is not all wonky here. So, so then I'm just going to go ahead and tape it down, and there's that notch. So I am going to want to take my pencil and make a mark there, because when I start using other stencils, I'll know that's the starting point or the starting mark. So there we go. And sometimes I'll do this just to kind of keep it together. And so then I think, what do I want to do? Well, I want to create some leaves, because that's what this is all about. So I want to use old olive because I'm thinking fall. And so I'll get out my old olive, and I'll get out my brush. Now I want to make sure that I don't know what ink I might have on here. So let's take some paper towel, and we're going to make sure I have some green on here. So we'll get that off, and I have a piece, here we go. And we're going to use this paper to wipe off when we get ink on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my ink on my brush. And I'm going to start off on this paper. And then I'm just going to go around my cardstock, both directions, circular motion. Now, one of the things that kind of fooled me at first is that I felt like I didn't see a lot of ink, so that would make me nervous. But just keep going, because it can be, you can be fooled. You probably have more ink on that cardstock than you think, and when we pull it up, you'll see. So I'm just going to keep going. Now, everything is cardstock and stencil. They're all secure down, so they're not going to be moving on me, because that would defeat the purpose to have a nice stencil and then your design gets all wonky because your stencil's moving around. So we're just going to keep doing our ink. Now I'm starting to see some of that ink popping up. I do want to tell you that I played with some paste when I did this at first, because I was playing with different designs. I did use Granny Apple Green, which is why I'm not using it now. And when I did my paste on here, it looked like shamrocks. I felt like I was doing St. Patrick's Day. So when we get to the paste, we'll talk about that too. So I'm trying to do this evenly. And this is going to be, I'll tell you now, this is going to be a background for the rest of our card. So I'm going to untape and see if I like it. Maybe a little more. This might be when I add a little more pressure, but for me, because I'm heavy-handed, I have to be careful. And I just do circular, so I get it. Okay, I really think that we're good now. Let me take a peek. You'd think that there's not ink on your brush, but there really is, and I do need to re-ink my old olive here. Okay, I'm gonna say we're done. Let's clean this off. Put it back. And now we want to talk about our stencil. So there's our background, and we're going to take all the tape off of our stencil. Now I had rolls and rolls of this, so I'm not concerned. I don't feel like I'm wasting it. I'm not sure I can ever use it up. So I am going to take a paper towel, and I'm going to wipe that stencil off. So you can wipe it with a wipey, but I'm going to get the residue first, and then I am going to come in with a wipey. Now, how do you clean your stencils? Well, you can just rinse lukewarm water over them. They don't need a lot of scrubbing or soaking. You can also use alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So I always have that in my, right here by my desk. And the thing about the rubbing alcohol is that it dries quickly. But there you go, get both sides, and then I don't have that ink staying on here. Now, sometimes when I haven't cleaned my stamps like I should, I end up with, especially the inks that have like red in them, sometimes they can kind of stain your stencils, but your stencils are still good. So here is our background, right? So I'm going to put this to the side, and we're going to work on some other aspects of our card. So what I was hoping to create was some pumpkins. And then I would be using these pumpkins for a card, and this is going to be my card base. So kind of a roadmap as to what's going on in my head. All right, so this is from a suite called Pumpkin Patch, Painted Pumpkin Patch. And so in the suite, you get the stamp set, you get the dies, you get this beautiful designer series paper. And I'm showing you this because the dies, and we're going to be using the dies. There are dies that will cut out in sets of 3. So you have these beautiful colors that you can just die cut and use on your cards. But I wanted to do some ink blending. So here we go. Let's start with a stencil number 1. Here's stencil number 1. I'm only going to do 1 pumpkin because I already have some done, and I don't want this to take a long time. But we're going to go ahead, and it doesn't really matter lining it up, but just you want to line this up so that you're on the cardstock. But as far as lining up that notch, because I'm only focusing on 1 here. If you were going to do all 3, you want to take into the consideration that you need a little bit longer of your card base. But let's just go ahead and start here. So I wanted to use a different color than what you normally think of with pumpkins. And the color I want to use is Pool Party. So I want some cards, not quite this color, but kind of like that. And so let's go ahead and get started with my Pool Party here. So I'll get my brush. Now I'm going to use the blue brush, right? So I want to make sure I don't have any ink on it. And we're going to turn this over. We're going to get some Pool Party on here. And here we go. Did I get any ink on it? Maybe not. Okay, so here we go. And we're just going to be laying some ink down. Now, you see I have some pumpkins right here that I may not want to waste my cardstock, so I'll just use some sticky notes to mask that off. And then if when I'm doing my circular thing here, I don't have to worry about getting ink there. But I will tell you, when I did my pumpkins, I would do like a whole panel of Pool Party and then a whole panel of Cajun Craze. Whatever color I was doing, I would do all 6 of them. Because why not, right? I'm going to be using them. Why just do one at a time? But for video purposes, we're going to do one at a time. All right, so I have kind of a light application here. Let's get this next stencil. That is number 2. Actually, yeah, number 2. And so that's this one, I believe. Let me feel it because it's hard to see. So number 2, and I'm going to line it up. So when you're lining it up, at this point, it is easy to see where your lines are. You could see, right? So just kind of line it up. And then we're going to put down our tape. And so one thing to remember is that if you're using the same color, which I'm going to, it's going to give you several layers of ink. So you don't want to have a lot in the beginning unless you want your pumpkins to be very dark. It's all about what you want. But I'm going to get some more ink on here. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. And then I'm just going to start here again. So I kind of feel like this is magic because I thought, originally what I was thinking is I wanted deeper lines here. And it's not what I was getting, right? Because, anyway, that was kind of like, okay, let's see what happens. So there's this layer. Now I am going to show you something that I'm going to do right now. And I'm hoping that I have it handy here, and I don't see it. Green, okay. So I'm going to take this little detailed brush, the little one that's new, and I'm going to get some ink on it because I want, you know how you have shadows? I want some shadows right here on the bottom and maybe up there, and I know that more layers of ink will give you that. So I'm not going all the way up the pumpkin, I'm just going to the bottom there. All right, we're finished with this stencil, I believe. So let's put it to the side. See how it's coming together? Look at that. All right, now we're gonna do stencil number 3. Again, the notch, so we know to put it up here, but really it's a no-brainer because if you're gonna line it up, it only lines up if you have it correctly. All right, so we're going to put this down again. And okay, whoops. I didn't get those very well. It's because I've been using them. They're stickies coming off. Okay, so I'm going to do some more of the Pool Party. This could be where you maybe want to come in with a small brush. And I might want to do this a little bit more. Now I'm just playing. So anyway, so there's that. I'm going to be finished with that ink. Now let's take this off, but we want to put the stem for the pumpkin on here, right? So let's get this last stencil, and then of course we're going to line that stem up with the pumpkin. This is kind of hard because I can't get right down on it to see if, okay. And then we're going to tape our stencil down. Now, if you had one of those grip mats, they are great because you can, you know, you can just write, everything sticks. But I'm okay with putting it down like that. Now, you can take whatever color you want, old olive, whatever color you want. Let's just do the old olive because I can reach for it, and I'm gonna put away these tools. And then I'm going to get out my green tool, and again we're going to do that. Even though this has old olive, I just want to get in the habit of it, right? So we're going to put some ink on here. And so I could do it with this brush, which I will start. But when I take this brush, now I'm really going to get into the nooks and crannies because this is very small. So we'll start here. You can even see the difference. When you're blending, you can see that difference. And you can put as much ink as you want. You could put, so not all pumpkins have that green stem, right? Some of them look a little barky like. So you could use crumb cake, whatever colors you want, they're yours, right? And then I'll show you what I would do from this point. So I feel like my, I'll clean those off. I feel like my pumpkin is done. Now, theoretically, I would have 6 of those, really, if I was doing it, not just for right now, but I would have 6 of them. And then what I would do is, we're going to take this all apart. I would take the dies that come in the die set, the painted pumpkin dies, and there's 2 of the bigger ones. This is cute. It makes a little gate and then some pumpkins and the vines. But I would take the dies that fit right here, and you'll see which die fits there. It's like if it doesn't fit, you'll know. And then I would just tape it down and run it through my die cutting machine. And then I would have all of those pumpkins that I have ink blended, and they would be available. So I already have some that let me clean up here. Some that I've already done. And so here are some. That was Cajun Craze. Here's some of the Pool Party or Coastal Cabana. Here's some Daffodil. I did some Golden Glow in here too. So you can just see the different ones that I've done. There's some Pumpkin Pie. So, and there's Cajun Craze. So once you die cut them out, then you can use them, right? Because you know what? They're already cut out. You don't have to fussy cut them. You could stamp and then die cut. You can definitely do that. I think I'd probably want to use my alcohol markers, but I just really like the way this ink blending looks, and I like the fact that I can cut them out so that they're going to have that uniform cut and I don't have to fussy cut. Well, so here is what are we going to do with this? So we're going to have to cut it down, right? Let me move these to the side. We need to cut that down because it needs to lay on a card base, and I know that this is way too big. I want it to be 3 3/4. So I'm going to need to cut about 1/4 of an inch off. So let's, instead of cutting 1/4 of an inch off, since this is 4 1/4, let's cut some from each side, because then we can get, we can choose, you know. So if you have like one side that's bad, go ahead and cut it. If you see over here, there's some that are a little bit lighter. So maybe I want to cut some from there. So I'm going to, I'll keep measuring. So I cut that. And now we want 3 3/4. So I'll just put this on the 3 3/4 line, and I'll cut that. And now you can see how it's coming together, right? So I still have that background, but we want this to only be 5 inches wide. And so I know now it's 5 1/4. So I'm going to go in between 5 1/4 and 5. And I'm just going to cut some off of each edge. And I just do this just because I don't know, it makes me feel like they're more even, but you could cut them off at just one side if you had kind of like a bad side there. So this should be 5 inches now, and it is, and this should be 3 3/4, and it is. All right, so then we would want to put it on a card base, right? Well, I am going to probably do a top folding card base, and I would want to pop it up with another color. So I'm thinking, and I have some here that I already had ready, I thought. Let me grab them. Let's see here. I guess not. Well, we'll just cut one. So we'll cut some basic black, and we're going to make that just a little bit bigger than 3 3/4. So let's make it 4 by, oh, I hope I didn't mess up here, 5 1/4. Okay, so now we have that back part here. Let's see if I need to cut it anymore. So that black layer is going to make this pop, but I don't want the black to be the focus. So I'm going to cut a shaving off of the top a little bit, and I'm lining it up with that first line right here past the guide. That'll just give me a little shave off, and we're going to do the same thing here. Let's see here. Okay, so just some little shaves. Let's see if that looks better, because there we go. So now we can clean up, get it made, and we'll put it on a card base. And I already had an oval cut out, so you won't, we're almost finished here. And I do want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hear the thunder, that's good. Very good for our fires, very good. All right, so let's see, I want to get this even, and I know I was a little out of camera view, but I needed to get it straight. We don't want any of our ends kind of being off, and I don't like to put glue all the way to the ends because then it's messy. So then we're just going to pop it on our card here, card base. So let me know in the comment section if you had a lot of experience ink blending, and if you have any tips for us, maybe that I didn't share, or maybe I didn't know, because we all learn from each other, right? So just go ahead and pop them in the comment section. If you have any questions, I'm trying to get this straight, sorry. If you have any questions, you know, you can definitely ask them in the comment section. I do come back and read your comments. So during the videos, the lives, can't always see. If you don't make a comment, I won't always see what you're thinking. So here's where it lifted up, right? I told you I don't want that. And so we will make sure that's down. And now I have an oval that I cut out. It doesn't have to be an oval. It can be any shape you want. I just did oval. And so we would stamp this, and we could stamp it with any stamp. Let's see. How about, let's just stamp the word hey from here. Let's see here. I haven't put these in there. I like to put these in, just do them a little differently. I haven't done that yet. And I don't really have an excuse why. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. I'm still using my Memento pad, but we do have a hybrid black ink pad that okay. It looked kind of like it wasn't solid there. So I'm going to just put this, I'm going to stamp it right here. I hope this is straight. Good enough. All right, and then we can adhere this on here. You could put this on with dimensionals if you want. I'm not going to because I'll probably put some of my pumpkins on with dimensionals. But I'm just gonna I'm gonna set this over a little bit so I have more room for my pumpkins here. Okay, and then we'll just choose pumpkins that we want. So that's kind of a fun thing too. And let's see, what do we want here? I love this color. So that looks good, right? We can move them over if we, there we go. How about that? And maybe this. Whoops, let's see here. And maybe this. What do we want to put in here? We need an orange, don't we? Maybe we'll put the orange here and this here and then that here. How about that? Does that work? Okay, let's do that. So again, you could definitely put your these up on dimensionals. I'm just going to glue them down for today. Let's see here. Let's see if we put that there. We want this not up too far. Where did I put that orange? I think I put the orange next, didn't I? I don't know what I did. Who knows? And you could put as many of your pumpkins as you want, right? I think I put that over here, didn't I? Oh my gosh. Okay. Now, also in the dies, you have these vines. So I don't know if I have. Look, I have one right here that I didn't know I had, but it's stuck on the die. So let's just take it off, and we'll put a little vine there because I kind of messed up there. All right, let's poke it out. All right, so you could put your vines like this. Or you could put them down here, and you could put a couple. That would look cute with a couple, wouldn't it? Or maybe just like this coming from the stem. So I need more than one, but we'll just use one. I don't think I have any more here. Let's see. Could I be that lucky? I don't know. I have some little little leaves that we could use. They're tiny. But that would be kind of fun. And I'm having a hard time getting them out here. Okay. So I did want to show you, here is what a stamped pumpkin kind of looks like. So I really do want to say I really like the ink blending best. All right, let's put some of these, maybe we could just put some leaves on here just to decorate it a little. Okay, and then this one. Let's get that with my tweezers. Whoop. Okay, there we go. We did it. All right, so I just wanted to show you all about the ink blending. And of course I didn't cover all of it, so we could use any of these. These are old dots. These are called, what are they called? Faux glass dots. So I don't know, I think I'm going to use the maybe the orange. Let's see, you could use the green too, but let's use the orange. I just feel like that's more fall-like. And you could put them anywhere. So there we go. We've made a card. We've talked about all the color choices, but the big takeaway for today is that smooth tools, smooth paper, smooth ink are going to give you smooth results. And so you know, you can find any of the tools, or most of the tools, I'll say, that I used today in my online store. And this will all be on my blog, definitely by tomorrow morning. And you could go in, I'll have links for you. There'll be links on the bottom here on YouTube. They'll be in the description. And so you can get what you need if you're interested in ink blending. And definitely, again, I just want to encourage you to go ahead and use the comment section for any comments or questions, or even just to shout out a hello and let me know you were watching. So thank you so much for spending time with me today, and do check back in a month for sure. If you go ahead and subscribe or follow, then you'll get notification. But we'll be looking at some more ink coloring when we do the Christmas mini series. So again, thanks, have a good day and a great weekend. Bye for now.